Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Who's Views. This is Chit Chat, and as you can see today, I am joined by the one and the only Christian. Hello.
Hello. I'm sorry. I love your theme song.
And it's
I was,
quite
just, I
fun.
was waiting for a disco ball to come down and start spinning. It was just
That's exactly
beautiful.
it, mate. It's a bit bouncy and happy, isn't it?
I
Which is
love it.
exactly what we need, I think, in the world today. How are you? Welcome to Who's Views.
I'm doing great. How are you doing, my friend?
Very good. You know, we're all busy right now, aren't we? It's all
Yes.
amazing. So listen, if you're tuning into us for the first time, welcome to Who's Views. This is Chit Chat. This is one of my personal favorite shows because this is where I just get to talk to people that want to come and chit chat with me for 40 minutes to an hour. So this is brilliant. Now listen, Christian, what I always start off the chit chats with is a sort of icebreaker question, really, and it's this one here. How did you discover the Doctor?
Oh God, I'm a kid of PBS. I don't know
Ah.
if you were familiar with that. That's basically the BBC uh, in the States, but it's not so big. It's usually run independently owned by the local area.
Mhm.
So of course they had the pledge drives where they could said, "Oh, this set of VCR tapes only $100, which you could probably get in the UK for like 10, something like that." No shipping and handling out there. But I ran a local station. Now it started in Miami, but it kind of moved up here in Orlando on Channel 24. But uh, and full disclosure, I've told people all the time when I'm at panels that my first episode was Robot. I have no idea what my first episode was, but I can tell you it was Tom Baker.
Uh-huh.
And sadly, we missed her 13 years ago. My God, can you believe that, JT? We've lost Sarah Jane April 19th, 13 years ago. But they
Cool.
were my first. These were my introduction to the Doctor. My parents left the TV on, so my watching on PBS was Sesame Street, Electric Company, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and then when it creeped into the nighttime, there was Doctor Who sitting there. And for me, he was the first one. I'm referring to Tom Baker's Doctor. He was the first one of the heroes. Everybody has the heroes like G.I. Joe and Marvel and DC and all that. He was the first one for whatever reason I could latch onto. And I can't, I think because I'm not trying to be weird in my race, but I'm just like, I was a smart kid at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And here was a guy who didn't have a weapon, who was quick-witted, and I always wanted to relate that I had a snappy comeback, and I was kind of a bright kid in my classroom. So here was a guy that I could relate to, and all I knew was that he flew in his magical blue box with the most gorgeous women on Earth, and just took it everywhere. And it's those big wide eyes, those big teeth, those curly hair, and that long ass scarf. I just hooked onto it more than anything else out there.
It never ceases to amaze me how Doctor Who was discovered outside of the UK by people. And when I've spoken to people from your neck of the woods in America before about this, and a lot of people of a certain age have discovered it all through PPS and what have you. How did it? I still find it very amazing, that you were all attracted to this when you all had access to the much more glossier things like Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers in the 25th century. What was it about this little teeny weeny family drama from Britain that caught you?
I think it was just the Doctor. Like I said, he was a character that I could relate to. It's not that I didn't have my heroes. My heroes were Christopher Reeve and Linda Carter and, other heroes that came along out there. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. But there was something about Tom that just latched on to me that I never got that feeling. Like you said, there was a whole plethora of things, Transformers, G.I. Joe, all those guys are out there, but it was Tom who latched on to me. And I think I liked his zaniness. Doctor Who was a show, and I should say still is a show, that stands out among the rest when it comes to like sci-fi. But Tom Baker was an actor, a character actor, who stood out among the rest as far as being an alien, being fun, quick-witted, being intelligent. And just, he was the guy that walked into the room and everybody stopped. Everybody stopped to watch him, and he was the smartest guy in the room. And he was always, even though he looked a little bit off because of his bohemian nature, he was always 5 steps ahead of everybody in that room. And I thought that was the coolest thing.
Mm. Mm. It really is true, isn't it? And all credit to Tom for doing that. It's interesting what you're saying there as well, Christian, because you're saying that Doctor Who, it still is something that stands out from the rest. Do you really think that's the case now, or do you think that the reboot Who, the versions that they're churning out today, do you think it's sort of samey to the stuff that's around? Yeah. Be honest. It's absolutely fine. It's the me.
I know. I just well, you want to be honest. You don't want to be insulting, and you just want to I want to say it in a way that makes sense. Going off to the side, but I'll give you a reason why I'm thinking what my mentality is on this. Okay. One with things we do, I'm sure you do, is review episodes of Doctor Who. And one of the things I had to review was Timeless Children. And I told my team that's the second time I've ever turned off Doctor Who. Like literally just went, I'm done here.
Yeah.
It's never happened before. And I went through things like Love and Monsters and all the episodes that you're like, okay, fine. I'll let this pass. I'll let this go on. This is, we tried something new type deal and move on, which every episode is a try something new.
Yeah.
But the direction it went, I couldn't fathom. I couldn't be there. The first time I turned it off was Orphan 55.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I shouted to the screen as soon as the revelation comes out and just said, you just robbed from Mysterious Planet, didn't you? You just robbed Rabalok's story.
Oh, right. And I've never seen it. So you're telling me here what it's about, because I've never watched it.
Seen it. Yeah, I saw Trial of the Time Lord, and when the revelation came through, I'm just like, oh, you stole from Trial of the Time Lord.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it got, so I understand it's silly and it's quirky, but it got to the point where it wasn't intelligent. I mean, when I grew up, I was watching Talons of Wang Chiang, and I was watching, the Sontaran Experiment, and even though they were weird and quirky, it was still feeling like Douglas Adams wrote the episodes. That quirky and that intelligent. I felt like the writers from Red Dwarf were writing it, because it didn't feel like it was insulting the audience. It was more like saying, here's a character that is intelligent, is witty, and still kind of when we come into New Who, but I couldn't appreciate it when it started like with Jodie. And you could tell with the direction that she didn't have a good person to guide her, in my opinion.
Right.
And with New Who now, I haven't even seen the 60th or the Christmas episode at the time that we're recording this.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what I'm watching anymore, or where we're going with this. And people, the strongest word that everybody's using is this, well, Doctor Who was always woke. I said, no, it was progressive. It wasn't woke. It was ahead of its time, but not into the wokosphere, which the Pandaverse or whatever the South Park people came up with.
Yeah.
It hasn't gone this far. And one of the things I knew we were heading in the wrong direction was Arachnids in the UK.
Right.
And I hated that. It's just like, I want to watch Doctor Who to get away from reality. This is my one chance to go into another universe, into another place, with other different people that are not of this, and see something completely different. And I want to know for about an hour that humanity is still kind of worth saving out there, and then come back to reality with a fresh new start. And I saw Arachnids in the UK, and I was like, this is disgusting.
Oh, really?
I was like, I don't even know where we're going with this. And I jokingly called it when I reviewed it. I said, oh, this is Donald Trump, and by the way, they're spiders. That should be the title of the episode.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, if I wanted Trump hate at that time, I didn't need to come to Doctor Who. Every channel ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox News, everybody, Animal Planet, Food Network. Everybody was dishing out the Donald Trump hate. And here was my favorite show dishing it and throwing it in my face. Not only do they make a character of Orange Man bad, they talked about it. And just like, God, I don't want this here. Get it out. Get it out of there. It's ruining my stuff and I want it gone.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, God, we are going in the wrong direction with this. And if you wanted to say something and write something about Orange Man bad, I think it would be in the hands of a skillful writer that they could make it into something. See, they were too busy about the wokeness and the morality of things that they forgot to write a good story. And you could have a great moral, but it's got to be wrapped in a good story burrito, or else it's tasteless. It's not worth digesting. It's not worth eating or consuming. I'm just getting off on a tangent.
No, you're not. No, it's very, very relevant because I've not watched any of the Chibnall Whittaker stuff. I'm never going to.
Okay.
I just
thank you for telling me. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, no, it's fine. You can tell me anything you want about it, so that's why I get a bit confused about episodes and stuff like that. But the one that you're talking about here with the arachnid one, I now know which one, because there was a big fuss about that one because of what you've just said there as well, and it also upset a lot of Americans, obviously, because what they were doing is they were actually, whether you wanted him there or not, he was there. They were actually this production team from Cardiff were actually criticizing the president of the United States of America. So I can actually understand why an awful lot of people in America just went click, switch off, because you shouldn't really, and certainly Doctor Who, in my opinion, that doesn't have a place there. If you're going to do something like they did something in the original RTD era, didn't they, where the British Prime Minister turns out to be the master. That's how you do it. If you're going to do something like that, you put that sort of spin on it, so the audience knows, hang on a minute, that's not the real the PM. I don't know. It just seems a bit of a strange thing to do, and it's certainly that's where it all went down, wasn't it? For Doctor Who, that version of Doctor Who, it went down.
Well, my question is, first of all, are you? And this is where I put everybody on the line who's ever mentioned this, that Doctor Who is for everybody. So let's say this is broadcasting here in BBC America, and there is a MAGA supporter watching this. How are they supposed to feel at the end of this?
Yeah, exactly.
If you could have written good characterization and put this in a story, you can get people to think. And that's what they're not supposed to do. I felt like they were forcing people to think, and that's not good sci-fi. That's not good writing.
Yeah.
When you're trying to nail it in there. Now, it's just it's just hammering it over your head.
Yeah.
And I think the good sci-fis that came through in the past were something that didn't. One of my favorite episodes is Star Trek: The Next Generation. It was written for Data, where he's on trial for his life. And I think it was A Measure of a Man. And I'm sorry, I actually interviewed the writer, and I can't think of her name right now, but put it in the chats, please. But there was no right or wrong, because both sides were brought to the table. And even in the end, because you have to have an ending, because we got to move on with the series, and of course we're not going to kill off Data, but in the end, Data even walked over to the guy and said, keep doing your work. I'm interested in what you're doing. So all sides are open to it. There's no right or wrong. I just want to show you two sides of something, and I want you to think. And if I've at least given you that moment, these are the episodes that I will think about and keep thinking about when I hear the name Doctor Who or Star Trek or whatever, that I will still be thinking about 20 years later when somebody mentions the name, or when they say, well, what's your favorite episode, or what episode moved you the most? Those episodes will come back. Yeah.
I've made this argument for a wee while now, Christian, in that, anything from what I term reboot Who, a lot of everything from 2005, especially to the stuff that's turning out today, is going to date. I don't think it does have a shelf life. I don't think it's going to be one of these things that you will go back to in 50 years' time. However, because it's too relevant to the time it was made. However, if you go back to anything from 63 to 89, you can watch that for the rest of time.
And it really baffles me. I find it really insulting that people will judge something based upon the time that it was made. I mean, this was 1970s, folks. So this was a different period. This is a different time. Everybody, everybody's going like, well, the Talons of Wing Chiang, they had an Asian guy and all this. So, well, first of all, Michael Go's, is it Go or Goth? Michael Goth's character was supposed to be Asian. They had a second attempt to make the toy maker an Asian, and he didn't do it.
Well, it's not that the toy maker was supposed to be Asian. That was the whole point of that.
Really?
I don't know. It was. I mean, we're going back there to the 60s, of course, with that. I think it was Celestial Toy Maker. Celestial means more with the stars. It's only over the decades, certainly the most recent decades, that word, for some bizarre reason I still don't understand, is now looked on differently. I don't know. It goes over my head. But I've never seen anything that was supposed to say he was supposed to be Asian. I don't think he was. When you're looking at something like that, especially in science fiction, you can now sort of suggest that the toy maker has the ability to change his appearance just as similarly as the Doctor does.
Right.
So so I don't know where that sort of things come from. I have heard that before, but in all the years I've been a fan, I've never seen anything that was said he was supposed to be of an Asian flavor, if you like.
I guess it went down the line. I just heard it through whispers. You hear a lot of things through stories and stuff like that, but he was wearing an Asian garb. At the time there.
I was supposed to be exotic and stuff as well, wasn't it? Really, I think people sometimes look at stuff and read too much into it. You've got to remember this is British television in 1960s for Britain. It wasn't meant to be seen again. Never mind 50 years later.
I don't punish anybody because of the time frame.
I
mean, for an example, whenever they say about our forefathers here in the U.S., it was like they were slave owners. I'm like, yeah, that was the means, not the exception. That was the rule, not the exception. And that was going worldwide over. And even these guys, when they were developing a country, they said, yeah, this is not a good idea that we did it. In fact, some of them in later time dismissed them. And then we had a big war over it. You guys had a big war over it. The French had a big war over it. They said, this is wrong. And we were one of, I just don't understand it. It's just like when I hear the word woke, Bill Maher says it best. It's somebody who has a mystical, magical time machine who can go back into the past, tell me what they would have done right, and they would be right all the time. It's like you wouldn't have been there. You don't know, and I don't know, but I will never challenge it on the time frame. But 2024 today, I've learned something. We've all learned something. We work together and we move forward and get away from the past, not live in it.
Yeah. So that's where society is really weird at the moment, isn't it, as well? Because I personally think the word woke is now redundant to an extent because it's gone beyond that. We are now looking at extreme left ideology, coming more and more prevalent. Although there are cracks, as we're recording this now, there are cracks now starting to happen, especially in our country here in the UK, where people are suddenly starting to realize, hang on a second, this might not be true, or that's not factual, or that wasn't what happened. These little cracks are starting to come through, and I hope it gains momentum. But it's I think woke now has been overused to that extent because it's just gone further.
JT, I would even use this terminology instead of left or right or woke and not woke. I would say insane and insane. I mean, well, there's some things I just sit here and. If you listen to somebody and they say something and you're like, how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yes.
And you're sitting there and what was it? The line, I don't know if you know the comedian Lewis Black. He says, don't think about it for more than 5 minutes or blood will shoot out your nose.
Yeah.
It's like you just sit here and just go like, how did you come to this as sane?
Yeah.
I can't rationalize. I'm going to go into the details, but I'm sure people can think for themselves. Where did we get the line? And yes, there is a comeback. So I think it's just a fight between what's insane and where reality is. And we've gone way over the deep end worldwide, and it's just, unfortunately, the social media goes for the insane. So that's why I won't even talk politics on my own Facebook page. I did once, and I actually had a question. I thought it was a legit question to ask. And next thing I know, everybody's battling over, on my Facebook page about that topic, and some of them taking target at me. Why would you ask that? I'm curious. Isn't that what we're supposed to be? The human race? We're supposed to ask questions.
Absolutely. If you don't ask a question, how do you learn?
How do I learn? And not only that, it's just like, well, they already predicted that you were supposed to know, so you shouldn't be asking the question. I'm like, well, then I wouldn't be asking the question.
Yeah, it's like when you go to these meetings, isn't it? In various jobs and stuff, and they do their presentation or they do their training or whatever it is, and then they'll always ask towards the end, now, does anybody have any questions? And nobody says anything.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in that. I believe if you've got a question, ask the question, because it's vital you leave that that facility, the room, the webinar, whatever it's going to be, understanding what you've got to do. Otherwise you're going to make mistakes.
Well, if you never ask, the answer is always no. So,
absolutely.
I mean, you're not moving forward. You're just kind of stuck. And I've never appreciated where, every meeting is just like it's quiet. Maybe depends upon the topic in the meeting. Maybe they are done, or maybe people are too scared to go. Hey, we really need to talk about this.
Yeah,
and we've just become a society, and I fear it that if you have wrong thought, that you are shunned, you're not even appreciated, and just like, okay, well, then you're not woke, you're not inclusive. Do not throw that word inclusive at me if you're going to deny me my chance to educate myself and find out, because I need to know how you wrapped your brain around this, and I can't. It is so easy and lazy, and I think, for a better term, incompetent and just ignorant to destroy stuff, but such a harder level and a more rewarding level to build stuff together. And that's what I think Doctor Who has an appreciation. When you see these IPs like Star Trek, Star Wars, they have an older generation that helped move it. And now we're hoping the new generation will pick up on it and appreciate what we gave them.
Do you think that's going to happen, though? I mean, I look at the case of not just Doctor Who, but I do look at Star Wars, and I do look at Star Trek, and I look at all these things, and I don't see. Let's take Doctor Who as the main example. I certainly do not see here in the UK the public giving one jot about this show anymore, and I certainly don't see new generations coming in to support it. I do see a minority of very vocal 20-something-year-olds who are preaching this and this and this, to which this version of Doctor Who seems to be tailored for. But as you're sort of touching on there, it might be tailored to that minority, but it's alienating the majority. So, I don't see new fandoms coming in to carry this on. I think Doctor Who's got a shelf life, and I don't think it's very long.
I think it has a very long shelf life. If you're going to stick with the goal of what you just said, this is for everybody. Now, you're not going to appease everybody at the same time, but if you can focus on what made Doctor Who great, if you can focus on the characterization of Doctor Who, if you can focus on the great stories that came before, the writers, Christopher Beamy, Terry Nation, Douglas Adams, all those guys, Robert Holmes, all those guys who came before, and move it into another, move it into the next generation to pick up from where they left off. They are sitting on giants. These guys.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They are sitting on giants, and at this point, I'm going to say, and have no reason to be even close to them, not even on their shoulders. They have not shown anything. I think one of the, if anybody wants to correct me on this, I think one of the writers for Jodie's time wrote about genital something. She wrote a play about genital mutilation on women, and that was her key. And I said, great, can she write sci-fi? I said, sounds like an interesting play, whatever it is, but can she write a sci-fi? Can we?
Yeah, it doesn't qualify you to write a science fiction show, does it? No, absolutely.
Why do you like Doctor Who is my biggest question. Why do you think you're a good writer? What experience do you have to bring to the table?
Yeah.
And what are some ideas of what you're going to do in the future, not only for new episodes, but to bring a vast audience dating all the way back to 1963 to now 2024.
Yeah.
And that not an easy task. I will attest to it. Whoever's sitting in the chair, it's like being president of the United States. We can criticize them all we want. We can rip them all they want. But try sitting in that chair for one day. I'm sure you will be ripped so much. You're like, I don't want this. I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
Not easier said than done.
So are you where we are now? We're just we're on the if you're watching this back, we're recording this as Shooty's on the way with his first series, his first full series. Are you optimistic from what you've seen about this then, from what you're saying?
I've seen clips of Shooty and Millie together, and I think they're a dynamic duo. Like I said, I still haven't seen 60th or Christmas episode.
Have you seen the trailer for the new
I've seen the trailer. I kind of like Shooty's Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least his interpretation. He's trying to make it fun and enlightening, because you can feel that there's a difference between the doctors. And for me, Shooty is, there's so many things and directions to go with that. If I'm saying for those two, as far as the relationship and how they work together, yes, I do see an approval to that. Then I have hopes. It's not the crew that I'm worried about. It's the captain that I'm really worried about. Yeah. And RTD really impressed me back in 2005, 2006 when he brought the series back. And yes, we did have those little nit things that came through, and I was just like, I'm better than that. If you want to have that one-off line or that one-off character, but if you're going to bring in the diversity or the LGBTQ, who better was it that he brought in Captain Jack? And everybody fell in love with him. Nobody was going on their social media going, nobody was. Nobody cared because everybody loved Jack. Everybody enjoyed John Barrowman, his interpretation. And he was a different character to the Doctor, because the Doctor, can't pick up a gun and all that. He left it to Captain Jack to do all that work. And then he gets his own spinoff. So that's the way you bring in, like you said, there is a way to bring these things in to where everybody can enjoy it. And that to me is the ultimate inclusion.
I just want to just put a bit of balance in there as well, because I did pull a face there, and I just want to explain why to anybody watching that. Christian mentioned that LGBTQ. I am not LGBTQ as a homosexual woman. I am LGB. And this is something that we're trying to break into America as well, to be able to say LGB without the TQ. It's a political thing, but it's all come from you guys over there. We are United Kingdom. We in the United Kingdom, of course, sort of followed this like lame ducks that we can be, but we are pushing this back now, because the same-sex issues are nothing to do with gender issues, and certainly nothing to do with the Q, which has also come from over there in a roundabout way. So I just want to address that in case anybody would. Why did he pull a face there? I can't help it when I hear that word, because I find it offensive.
Apologies, but
no, it's fine. Yeah, but push the word out over your neck of the woods. Actually, there's more to it than this. It's not. We're not all one community now.
I'd poke it out as the rainbow people, because it's just.
I think a lot of people do, but
to have every letter of the alphabet being used twice, just.
Well, they try to. This is why we're not. LGB people have nothing to do with them. We don't want anything to do with them, because they've just gone off completely and utterly balmy tangents. It's just ridiculous. And we all get lumped together, especially in your neck of the woods. They lump us all together. Politicians do it. Business people do it. No, they shouldn't, because we're not the same. We are different communities. It's bizarre, isn't it? Really. So. But this is all coming to Doctor Who now as well, hasn't it, Christian? This whole message, and I find myself looking at some of these shows, and I'm actually looking towards the first Ncuti Gatwa series with trepidation, and I just know that I'm just not going to enjoy it, because there is going to be this sort of stuff. We've had it confirmed from both RTD and Gatwa. It's going to be political in that sense. They are going to make statements through this series, and I just think, oh, why? They had such a great opportunity to bring fandom back and just haven't bothered.
Well, if we're going to go progress, if we're going to go full woke and throw the switch RTD than being an Asian. And I'm never appreciative of anybody who says, well, being a certain, and then they insert it, because first of all, that's the ultimate segregation. You're pulling yourself out and trying to make things better because you have a different take. No, you're a human being just like the rest of us. You bleed red, you breathe in oxygen, you take out carbon dioxide, you do the thing. You are nothing superior or better. You're just different. And that's the cool part about the human race. Everybody is different in their own way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And first and foremost, when I was growing up, I never asked myself, who's the fourth Doctor banging this week? I'm just like, why is this even a thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you've seen the Christmas special and the
I watched the 3 alleged 60th anniversary specials. There was nothing special about them in my eyes, and I watched the Christmas one. And I can't really remember that much apart from the song and the little goblin-y things, because I just don't like them. Bearing in mind that I hadn't seen, Christian, all of the Whittaker era. I was coming back to Doctor Who at this point, and I watched these things and just thought, this isn't Doctor Who. This doesn't hit me as being anything I recognise. The way that they treated the Doctor in the Star Beast and had him talked at and pummeled down by these characters who are nothing in his lifespan. Yeah, and from there on, and then the Christmas one was just shallow nonsense.
I haven't seen the Christmas one yet. I've seen clips of on YouTube for the 60th anniversary.
Right.
And first of all, let's just say that I guess we'll go into the politics a little bit. Let's just say that the pronoun idea is important and is supposed to. Let's just say, okay. I will concede that the pronoun. That was the worst way to bring it into this. I'm like, first of all, that's an alien. You're not asking where he came from, what he's doing here, what species is he, you're going to ask his pronouns. That's a human thing.
It's not even a human thing, because not all of us buy into it.
Right, but like I said, I'm just taking the case that this is an important issue. That was the worst way to introduce it. And I was like, there could have been another way to do it. And the other thing was, Donna used to be one of my favorite companions. She dropped to the bottom of the list when she and Rose 2.0, and I could not stand this for the life of me, when both of them at the end berated the 14th Doctor.
That's what I was talking about. I just shouted, what?
Yeah, I shouted back on my screen like, how dare you?
Yeah.
You're a 15-year-old kid and you know better, Donna. You freaking know better. This guy has saved this planet so many times. You're 15-year-old. You're nothing special. You are only special because you got regenerative energy from your mother who got it from him.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that what it was? I never understood the ending of that. I don't understand how that happened and what that was about.
And the thing is, RTD could have made it special for Rose 2.0 and did not, and just went into another direction and just like, I think you're starting off right, and the execution was just poorly done. And it's like, I ended up not liking Rose 2.0 and then Donna went into the hole because I'm like, why are you bashing the Doctor?
Yeah. And
what is this thing about gender? And it's like, I went back and thought on a couple things, because now I'm going to go into the Timeless Children. I said, I can keep this up for hours, but are you okay if I
go on?
Yeah, don't talk to me about Doctor Who, but or else you'll be here. But one of the things I was upset about was, are you aware of the Timeless Children? Let me put it that way.
Yes, I am. Well, how could you not be if you're a Doctor Who fan? Yeah. Exactly.
Well, you haven't seen it, but when I was trying to rate it, I could not even rate it on the day that it came out. I mean, that we were reviewing it. I said, I can't rate this. I can't rate this without sounding like a blabbering idiot of things that I'm going to just spew and hate. And there are YouTube channels that basically do that. And I was like, I want to make it so I can explain to the audience what I'm feeling without coming down like, okay, I just hate everything. And I said this. I said, basically, you just told Bruce Wayne he's Superman. You made the Doctor better than the Doctor is. In the episode where the first Doctor and Bill in was it Twice Upon a Time, I understood that term, that when she said to the first Doctor, maybe it's just a bloke. And I think that resonated to me. It's just like the Doctor is the Doctor the way he is because not because he's the chosen one, but because of the choices he has made. And that's something that's stretched all the way back to the War Doctor. This is why we have the Doctor. He's not the chosen one. The Doctor made choices to leave Gallifrey, and that's why he became who he is today. And that got lost in the Timeless Children. And it's like, you just made him out to be more than he should be. And that's something I can't relate to. Oh, okay, well, if he can't die, and he's the template of the Time Lords, and all this nonsense, then I got some episodes that I would like to review, like Modern Undead, where the whole story is his remaining regenerations were to wipe out these aliens so they could die. What about the TV movie when the Master's sucking out all his lives? After, you got to the 15th, 16th, 17th life, don't you think Eric Roberts would stop there and go, wait a minute? I mean, there's so many episodes that it doesn't work. And I could swear there's a Big Finish audio, Vengeance of Morbius, where they confirm that all those lives were Morbius's. But I understand the original concept, but I say it just didn't work. I mean, you made the Doctor, you made Bruce Wayne Kryptonian, so he doesn't make sense to me. So all that humanness that made Batman, you can just pick up the Joker and Harley Quinn and Ivy, and he doesn't need the bat. You made and cheapened the Doctor in my eyes, and made things worse. So going forward, I could not see the Doctor in a light. So I was praying to God that, what would have made more sense is if we're going to go this route, the Timeless Child should have been Susan. Then this would have all made sense. Now we know why he's Grandpa and why he did everything to hide Susan away from the Time Lords and run away. And then he just does the best thing. He drops her off on Earth in plain sight so nobody can find her. See, I don't understand that. That would have made more sense, but I'm not.
I don't understand why they went down this route anyway about this whole storyline. I mean, because who was the audience? Because there wasn't many Doctor Who fans watching this particular thing at the time anyway, because it was shedding viewers every single week. The British public certainly weren't tuning in. They didn't care. They wouldn't have understood all this continuity coming in anyway. So who were they writing for? And that begs the question, who are they still writing for now? Because there's going to be more of this stuff, because we know they're building on what Chibnall finished with. So they're going to build on this. So I don't know who they were writing for then. I certainly don't know who they're writing for now. They're certainly not in tune with the British public at the moment. So it's going to be interesting, I think, to see how well this is received, and if anybody actually gives a toss here, because I don't think they do.
I don't know. That is a very good question. Who are you writing this for? For a very small minority? One thing I've always challenged about the Rainbow people is like, guys, you're telling me you're inclusive. You're missing the letter S, which is a huge majority of the people. They want to be included in the party, but you won't let them in because you have done everything to separate things out. So either you're inclusive or you're not.
So is the letter S straight?
Yes.
Well, I can tell you everything right of the B in LGBTQIAAA is heterosexual anyway. It's always changing. They're always adding something. But everything right of the B is heterosexual anyway.
But when I grew up during that time, JT, when I grew up in the 80s, they were saying, listen, we just want to live our lives. We when it comes to our bedroom, we're shutting the doors. We don't want, we want our privacy. We just want to, and I was like 100%. It's like, why not? I knew the religious factor was kind of weighing in, but I thought it was funny when you can get Rush Limbaugh and Elton John to agree to something. And what was it? Civil unions? I was like, I think that would have been the good start. Just, everybody maybe start off as a civil union, give them all the rights of the married couple, And then over time, people are going to like, why we still have a civil union? But in the meantime, same-sex couples would have had the privilege and the right to be together.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody would just shed the mortal coil and like, okay, well, let's call it marriage. That's where we are. I mean, let them adopt, let them take care of each other, let them, be in each other's will. Or if they got a big person to be, God forbid, to make the decision of the final hour, let them be there at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it should be. And I agreed with that 100%. I don't know about the religious aspect. I was kind of a little bit on that, but I'm just like, well, why not? Or make it just a civil union, just let them be together. I'll concede to that, but at least they'll have those rights and privileges to be together and make decisions.
You see, in the UK, we've had that for years. We had all that, but then the alleged activists came along from the TQI cult side of stuff and created issues and created problems, which is why it split the community from LGB to TQI, or whatever they want to call themselves. But the LGB is very much just, no, we don't want anything to do with that because it's nothing to do with us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had all this sort of stuff. So around about 2018, this stuff came through from the States. Various activists and alleged charities here jumped on that and started dictating to all of us, to the point where we were turning around and going, no, actually, that's not right. And that's a lie. And that didn't happen. And no, we're not doing that. And no, this isn't that. And that's not true. So it's a right mess, but it's all come from alleged activists who have created the issues, have created brand new problems because they had nothing to solve, quite frankly, because it was all done, mainly.
I wish we had the answer. I wish we could, but I can only say that we have to focus on that one ideology. Everything that makes us the way we are, we're human. And it doesn't matter of anything else. And we should not be exploring on tearing down stuff, or trying to trivialize stuff or censor stuff, which is now a thing here. And
totally.
Social media.
Yeah.
I want to be able to say something, and I defend the right. I mean, one of the things I love about our country is the First Amendment.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
but
your First Amendment seems to be attacked an awful lot over there. I mean, I understand it as a Brit. The First Amendment for you guys is the pinnacle. It's the cornerstone of democracy. And it gives you that right to be able to have freedom of expression. So we have something similar over here, of course, but democracy over here is in the toilet right now because you're being dictated to completely. You can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say this. Well, hang on a minute. If it makes sense and if it's truth, yes, you can.
Yeah. And now, I don't know if you just saw the CEO of NPR and her recording. Check it out. Just trust me on this. Go to YouTube and check out the NPR CEO and what she said about truth. And I'm just like, but that's the thing. But that's the thing about truth and mob rule. You can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say this. One of the greatest lines that I've ever heard of all time comes from Men in Black.
Oh, yeah.
It's the scene where Kay is recruiting Jay, and he's sitting at the bench, and he tells him, okay, why don't you just tell everybody about aliens? He goes, a person's smart, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous, and you know that. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew that the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, they knew that the Earth was flat. He was telling them he was saying and speaking against mob rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I use an example. I said, there's one person in a room by themselves in room A, and there's 1 million people in room B standing there. Which one's right? And I would immediately say, if you can answer that question, you scare the hell out of me.
Yeah. That's a great point, actually.
What if I said that one person was Galileo? I want people to speak. And Ricky Gervais is right. How can you go through life thinking that you are not going to be offended? My God, all I have to do is go on social media for 5 minutes, go through, screen after screen and see what somebody's saying. And I'm just like, I'm totally offended, but I can skip across because I will not be the person who will stand there and say, JT, you can't say that. That's mean. That's I said, JT, no, say it. Because then we get real revolution, like comedians like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Lenny Bruce, all those guys who came before, and maybe you don't agree with them, but they had the power to change things and revolutionize things and It was the power of laughter through those little. What was it? I think Lenny Bruce says one joke is one revolution, or is a small revolution, and I just think that everybody should get to speak what they say, and let sunlight disinfect what shouldn't, what the truth is.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. Listen, we could talk for hours.
I know we will.
But we have come to the end of our time.
I will be on.
Yeah, we'll have to do a chit chat too with you, won't we? When we've got both got more time. So, but listen, it's brilliant to have you on Who's Views. Thank you so much for giving us some time to come on today. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll have to get you back as soon as we can. We'll sort something out, and maybe when you've seen some of the shooty ones, I might get you back then to have a little chat about what you thought about it. Then we'll have a look at that. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, and thank you to subscribe to the channel as well.
It's over.
Share this particular video wherever you have to. It's all right. But thank you so much for watching. Again, Christian, thank you. We will see you again next time on Who's Views. As ever, stay tuned. We'll see you again. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.